And, by the way, that was not simply my priority. If you look back at all the debates that have taken place over the last 5-6 years, this has been a Democratic priority, this has been a Republican priority, this has been Prime Minister Netanyahu's priority. It's been our Gulf allies' priority is making sure Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. The deal negotiated by John Kerry, Wendy Sherman, Ernie Moniz. Our allies, our partners, the P5+1 achieves that goal. It achieves our top priority, making sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. But we have always recognized that even if Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon, Iran still poses challenges to our interests and our values, both in the region and around the world. So when this deal gets implemented, we know that we will have dismantled the immediate concerns around Iran's nuclear program. We will have brought their stockpiles down to 98%. We will have significantly reduced the number of centrifuges that they operate. We will have installed an unprecedented inspections regime. And that will remain in place not just for 10 years but, for example, on the stockpiles, will continue to 15 years. Iran will have pledged to the international community that it will not develop a nuclear weapon and now will be subject to an additional protocol. A more vigorous inspection and monitoring regime that lasts in perpetuity. We will have disabled a facility like Iraq, the Iraq facility. From allowing Iran to develop plutonium that could be used for a bomb. we will have greatly reduced the stockpile of uranium that's enriched. And we will have put in place inspections along the entire supply chain. So that if uranium was diverted into a covered program, we would catch it. So I can say with confidence, but, more importantly, nuclear experts can say with confidence that Iran will not be in a position to develop a nuclear bomb. We will have met our number one priority. Now, we'll still have problems with Iran's sponsorship of terrorism. Its funding of proxies like Hezbollah that threaten Israel and threaten the region. The destabilizing activities that they're engaging in, including in places like Yemen. And my hope is that building on this deal we can continue to have conversations with Iran that incentivize them to behave differently in the region, to be less aggressive, less hostile, more cooperative. To operate the way we expect nations in the international community to behave. But we're not counting on it. So this deal is not contingent on Iran changing its behavior. It's not contingent on Iran suddenly operating like a liberal democracy. It solves one particular problem, which is making sure they don't have a bomb. And the point I've repeatedly made and is, I believe, hard to dispute is that it will be. A lot easier for us to check Iran's nefarious activities, to push back against the other areas. Where they operate contrary to our interests or our allies' interests, if they don't have a bomb. And so will they change their behavior? Will we seek to gain more cooperation from them in resolving issues like Syria? Or what's happening in Iraq, to stop encouraging Houthis in Yemen? We'll continue to engage with them. Although keep in mind that unlike the Cuba situation, we're not normalizing diplomatic relations here. So the contacts will continue to be limited. But will we try to encourage them to take a more constructive path? Of course. But we're not betting on it. And in fact, having resolved the nuclear issue, we will be in a stronger position to work with Israel. Work with the Gulf countries, work with our other partners. Work with the Europeans to bring additional pressure to bear on Iran around those issues that remain of concern. But the argument that I've been already hearing, and this was foreshadowed even. Before the deal was announced, that because this deal does not solve all those other problems. That's an argument for rejecting this deal, defies logic. It makes no sense. And it loses sight of what was our original number one priority. Which is making sure that they don't have a bomb. John Carl. Question, Mr. President, does it give you any pause to see this deal praised by Syrian dictator Assad as a great victory for Iran? Or praised by those in Tehran who still shout death to America? And yet our closest ally in the Middle East calls it a mistake of historic proportions. And here in Congress, it looks like a large majority will vote to reject this deal. I know you can veto that rejection, but do you have any concerns about seeing a majority of the people's representatives in Congress saying that this is a bad deal? And if I can just ask you quick political question, a very quick one. President Obama, John, I think. Question, Donald. President Obama, let me answer the question that you asked. It does not give me pause that Mr. Assad or others in Tehran may be trying to spin the deal in a way that they think is favorable to what their constituencies want to hear. That's what politicians do. And that's been the case throughout. I mean, you'll recall that during the course of these negotiations over the last couple of months, every time the supreme leader or somebody tweeted something out, for some reason we all bought into the notion, well, the Obama administration must be giving this or capitulating to that. Well, now we have a document so you can see what the deal is. We don't have to speculate, we don't have to engage in spin, you can just read what it says and what is required. And nobody has disputed that as a consequence of this agreement Iran has to drastically reduce its stockpiles of uranium. Is cut off from plutonium, the Fordow facility that is underground is converted. That we have an unprecedented inspections regime. That we have snapback provisions if they cheat. The facts are the facts. And I'm not concerned about what others say about it. Now, with respect to Congress, my hope, I won't prejudge this, my hope is is that everyone in Congress also evaluates this agreement based on the facts, not on politics, not on posturing. Not on the fact that this is a deal I bring to Congress as opposed to a Republican president. Not based on lobbying, but based on what's in the national interest of the United States of America. And I think that if Congress does that, then, in fact, based on the facts, the majority of Congress should approve of this deal. But we live in Washington and politics do intrude. And as I said in an interview yesterday, I am not betting on the Republican Party rallying behind this agreement. I do expect the debate to be based on facts and not speculation or misinformation. And that I welcome in part because, look, there are legitimate real concerns here. We've already talked about it. We have huge differences with Iran. Israel has legitimate concerns about its security relative to Iran. You have a large country with a significant military that has proclaimed that Israel shouldn't exist. That has denied the Holocaust, that has financed Hezbollah. And as a consequence there are missiles that are pointed towards Tel Aviv. And so I think there are very good reasons why Israelis are nervous about Iran's position in the world generally. And I've said this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, I've said it directly to the Israeli people. But what I've also said is that all those threats are compounded if Iran gets a nuclear weapon. And for all the objections of Prime Minister Netanyahu, or, for that matter, some of the Republican leadership that's already spoken. None of them have presented to me, or the American people, a better alternative. I'm hearing a lot of talking points being repeated about this is a bad deal, this is a historically bad deal. This will threaten Israel and threaten the world and threaten the United States. I mean, there's been a lot of that. What I haven't heard is, what is your preferred alternative? If 99% of the world community and the majority of nuclear experts look at this thing and they say, this will prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, and you are arguing either that it does not, or that even if it does it's temporary. Or that because they're going to get a windfall of their accounts being unfrozen that they'll cause more problems. Then you should have some alternative to present. And I haven't heard that. And the reason is, because there really are only two alternatives here, either the issue of Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon is resolved diplomatically through a negotiation, or it's resolved through force, through war. Those are the options. Now, you'll hear some critics say, well, we could have negotiated a better deal. Okay. What does that mean? I think the suggestion among a lot of the critics has been that a better deal an acceptable deal would be one in which Iran has no nuclear capacity at all, peaceful or otherwise. The problem with that position is that there is nobody who thinks that Iran would or could ever accept that. And the international community does not take the view that Iran can't have a peaceful nuclear program. They agree with us that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And so we don't have diplomatic leverage to eliminate every vestige of a peaceful nuclear program in Iran. What we do have the leverage to do is to make sure they don't have a weapon. That's exactly what we've done.